I have to record. Aha, we're recording. Awesome. All right, welcome everyone. I'm gonna backtrack one slide just so it's in the recording. Whoopsies. This is Beyond the Bioblitz, one of your ambassador workshops. We're gonna be talking about weather and climate in general. So we'll be talking through IC change. We have an expert with us who's actually on the IC change team, and so we'll be able to learn a lot more from Caroline. And then we named it something fun. It's getting hotter here. Let's measure it. So thank you for anyone who was enthused by that as much as I was. While we're getting started, if you wouldn't mind answering a question in the chat, and if you don't already have the app IC Change, please download it because we're actually going to do an observation today to demonstrate what it's like to participate. So if you have some crazy weather, that's great. If it's totally normal weather, that's also great. But if you can in the chat, since it's August, it's probably pretty warm where you are, or at least most of us. So think about your daily routine. Caroline, you did the explanation so much better than I'm doing right now, but thinking about your daily routine, when do you notice weather? When you're outside walking the dog, when you're having breakfast and you have to turn the AC on that early in the morning? How does the warming earth affect you where you live? And tell us where you live, because we're creepy. Tell us, and I'll add my answer too. So let's see, I'm in Washington, D.C., where it is very sweaty. And my 7 to 10 minute walk to the metro every morning is longer when it's hot outside. And I get
Yeah, well, Caroline, that's what Caroline just said. Have to wake up earlier
yeah.
to walk the dog.
As a morning person in training, I don't love it.
Very humid here. Mary Jones, Parker, where are you? Did you already? Oh, where in the world are you too, Mary?
Suburban Philadelphia near Tara.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
Mary's my neighbor.
Amazing.
Yes.
Taking care of the vegetable garden. Yeah.
Yeah, very humid. I know, Mary. The humidity has just been crazy. Answering the question even more personally, just thinking about it, like I haven't taken my daughter to the park much this summer. You know what I mean? Like it's too hot to go to the park, and that's sad.
Yeah.
Although I have to say first 2 weeks in August were like early fall around here. It's been nice weather for a change, but yeah. June was like
It's
the middle
it's
of
affected what I eat because my kitchen doesn't have heat in the winter, but I can use what do you call it? There's
space
little
heater.
things, right?
Hmm.
But I can't cool it, and I moved the
Right.
thermometer in there, and when it was right now it's like 85, but that really humid weather before the last cool down, it was 88. I could barely walk in there. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was just thinking
I had to
another.
grab something and leave. It's horrible.
How many of us our air conditioning bills are affected by warming?
Mine's through the roof.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh. Ouch.
Through the
My
roof.
sister says. All right, I'm gonna move us forward. Just a quick check. If you do have the IC Change app, can you give me a thumbs up on the screen or in the chat or something, however you might be able to do it. IC Change app is downloaded.
You can also visit icchange.com, and I'll put that in the chat too if you prefer your computer.
Be great. Okay, and before we move completely forward, I did want to give a minute to Tara to revisit our last conversation.
Yes. So last in July, we launched this framework for thinking about developing your programs as ambassadors, but also just as librarians, as facilitators. And we distilled our ideas to these 6 essential elements, we're calling them. And we went over them in detail last month. So if you missed that Insight series, there's a recording of it posted on YouTube, and it's also sent out in all the emails for ambassadors. You'll see it again tomorrow when you get the email for this. But the 6 essential elements, we're calling them, are just ways of thinking about designing and facilitating your programs. And obviously there's lots of other important things that go into planning impactful programming around acts of science, but these are some of the ones that we feel like come up a lot, and that is creating a welcoming environment. We know obviously, especially with science and STEM, that can be a barrier for some people. So thinking about how to create that welcoming environment, letting people know why they're at the event really clearly up front, sort of coming up with your elevator pitch so that you can easily share, whether it's before the event or during the event, what are people there to do and why does it matter? Making it local and personal. That's why we started today with that check-in question of how does the warming climate affect you personally? Why does this matter to you, not just to science? And then prioritizing that hands-on learning piece, which again, we're going to do today by doing actual data collection together. If you can do that with your participants, I think that is really going to make it sticky and have that impact and empower them to do it on their own. Being a confident and curious facilitator yourself, I think modeling a lot of the things that we want people to do while we're facilitating and approaching it in a really positive, hands-on way, and then obviously making it fun. If it is not fun and we're not having fun together, it is not worth it anymore in this world. Especially the things that we choose to do, make them fun. And so, thinking about what can make this fun for people, whether that's, icebreaker activities, having them get to know each other, focusing less on the technical science stuff and more on the even getting to know each other and just the introductory stuff. Whatever is going to make it fun is going to make it memorable. So again, if you missed last month's deep dive into this, please watch the recording, and we're going to keep revisiting these essential elements as we, in each of these sessions to show you how we have planned the session with these in mind.
And I actually added this back in a couple of slides after the other presentation, just so we can revisit it in terms of how we feel about how we would respond in a situation where we're doing IC change as a program. So coming back to it later. Thanks, Imani. Science is always worth it. Absolutely. Awesome. All right. I'm going to turn the mic over to Caroline to give a introduction to what IC change is and advice on how facilitators can better utilize this project as a part of their programs. So I will go ahead and do that.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And I think I'll introduce myself first. Hi, I'm Caroline Reed. I currently live in New Orleans. I've lived here for coming up on 5 years, originally from North Carolina. I studied environmental health in a public health lens and just became really, really passionate about how our changing climate is impacting the health of our communities, the health of our environment. I kind of found my niche in this kind of science translation, how to connect, real science and data to the public, and that kind of brought me to my work with IC Change. I'm going to pause here actually and take the liberty of maybe we can go back one slide, which is kind of annoying for me to ask. I'm going to tell the story of where IC Change came from, because I think it's interesting and it kind of helps you understand like why this tool has been built. So IC Change was founded by Julia Kamari-Drapkin and Lindsay Wagner. Originally, it came out of Julia's work as a climate reporter. So she was traveling the world, seeing different communities, from small rural communities to large urban communities, and found herself kind of on assignment. I think this is her story, so I'm doing my best to capture it. So maybe with an asterisk of a little bit of, detailed fact checking. But she was stationed in somewhere called Paonia, Colorado, which I believe to be a very small rural community. She was working with NPR, I think, at the time, and had the concept to come up with a radio show where essentially folks from all around the community would call in and report what changes they were seeing in their environment. It really started to take off when farmers got involved. So farmers were calling in to say, crops are looking really different than they were this time last year. We've noticed it's so much hotter and things are growing later in the season, or it's been so dry that we haven't seen the yields we want. And over time, this really powerful kind of collective story started to emerge as everyone just reported what they saw changing day to day, season to season, and year to year in their community. That radio show evolved into an online almanac or journal of sorts, where they were getting better at documenting those things using photos and stories, writing out a verbal story. And the platform emerged when I think it was NASA essentially saw the project and was like, we're gonna push a little money your way. You should make this into something that can sustain, beyond a blog type website. It needs to be something that people can kind of bring with them in their pockets on their daily walks or drive to work, or whatever it might be, and really document what they're seeing and track these changes over time. So that kind of brings us in some pieces to the IC Change tool that you may have just downloaded on your phone, or you might look at on your computer. It's a free tool. We have people who use it from all around the world. I think 114 countries is the latest number, where folks are invited to share their experiences. And Emma, I'll jump us now up to the first slide past my intro. Perfect. Where we are inviting people to play an active role in helping document what we are seeing unfold, in our own environment. So we kind of see this data playing some different pivotal roles, kind of as an intersection between us as residents to people who, we have cities here, but really this can be any folks in the, government space, anyone who's writing the policy, who's helping mandate those things, to the engineers and the folks designing solutions. And essentially, we document through the IC Change app everything from how you experience, urban heat in the middle of a city, to repetitive flooding, to, changes in pollinator behavior. And you can go to the next slide. So what it is it's essentially, a app. You can use it on your phone or computer. As mentioned, it's free for anyone to use. I actually might also kind of hijack and screen share in a minute just to show you some reports live too, if that's okay. Sorry, I'm kind of going like off the rails. And it's a way to share photos and videos, stories and measurements, things, with the digital community to track these changes. It's available in English and Spanish. We're trying to develop it in as many languages as we can. And you can report from anywhere at any time, as long as you have internet signal. And if you don't have internet signal, take the photos, save them, and there's ways that you can upload them later, and it'll actually use basically the metadata in the photo to help you remember, or it'll pinpoint where that photo was taken. We'll get into that detail in a second. Next slide, please. So to dig into the meat of it, and then we'll kind of talk about the why and the what it looks like. Each report is really robust in the sense that it provides a lot of valuable information to better understand, what's going on in any moment. So we're going to, of course, have things like the date and the time and the location. You're going to have your impact images or your videos, your story. So this can be anything, it's really as much as you want it to be. We love detail. That's one of the things that we think can really help, paint the picture of what you might be seeing. But it's a description of that reflects what you are noticing. So I'll show some examples from my screen of kind of how I write in my language, but you write in your voice, and it's what you see, what you saw, what you notice, what's been changing. There's also an option for community dialogue. So if you post something, someone from a totally different state or country might see your post and ask you questions. They might know something that you don't know about what you're seeing. It's a great place to ask questions. It's a great place to go to community members from, a larger span and say, hey, has anyone else noticed this? Does anyone know what's going on here? There's all sorts of fun bells and whistles in the sense of, if you want to nerd out and measure things from, the temperature indoors or outdoors, or if you have a rain gauge. We support all these different ways that you can kind of get nerdy with weather and climate data. And then, as I'll show as well, we also automatically sync in weather data. We work with XWeather. They have a series of weather stations all over the country. We grab the weather data from the nearest station, and we link it to your post at the exact time that you've basically like created your post at. So if you, and that works even if you backdate it. So if you're telling a story from, you know, if I wanted to share about Hurricane, you know, Ida from a few years ago, it would reference historic weather data to see like what I was experiencing at that time. And next slide. I might actually, Emma, this is, can I hijack here? Is this okay? Thanks. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I just realized I'm like, this is, it's so much, it's so fun to just show something. So essentially, I'm gonna just show you guys a few of my posts. This is a little glimpse into my world in New Orleans. It's not that exciting, but it hopefully will bring some more literal examples. I will call out a few things. So what we're looking at essentially is a feed. The sightings feed is where all community reports live. You can base it, you can look at reports just in your area. You can look at reports globally. Right now I'm just looking at my own feed. And I will note, I work for IC Change. I can see the address. You can see the address of your own reports. You cannot see the address of other people's reports, and they cannot see your address. We keep all of that private and confidential. I just, you know, work with the company, so have a special admin account. What you would see here is essentially New Orleans, Louisiana. It just gives a broad geotag. So I am not going to focus on the drainage stuff because that's not super exciting, but here's a post I shared in May. This was kind of the first real heat that we were starting to experience this summer. I don't know if anyone's a dog person, but I'm going to shamelessly shout out my dog here. His name is Hoppy. He is a tripod, so walking in the heat is extra hard for him. He found this like little small patch of shade and we were stuck there for quite a few minutes. You can see the weather data. It wasn't even that hot yet. It was just full sun, but it grabbed basically what was happening in this moment. So there was no rain. There was, you know, only 70 degrees, but from my experience, I remember it being quite hot. There's a bit of humidity. And then I've written a little description, you know, I think it feels good, but it's already too hot for my dog and it's only May. I've uploaded mini videos of, you know, rain where it's starting to flood on my street. I'm in New Orleans, so you can only imagine what some of that looks like. Maybe I'll kind of zoom back into some other reports. I personally also have documented, so a lot of the houses here in New Orleans are really old and really poorly insulated. So half of the year, it's like way too hot, can't keep it cool enough, energy bill through the roof. And then a very, you know, 1 to 2 month portion of the year where it actually gets cold, the house can't warm and the energy bill is also not great. So I like to document, you know, by just showing a screen on my thermostat, I can't get my house above 59 degrees and it's kind of cold. So I love to write about, you know, differences that I'm seeing with how I'm trying to heat or cool my house. And you could see the weather data with that as well. So it was actually 23 degrees outside, so pretty cold. I love to document things when I notice different smells in the air. So we were having very unusual marsh fires, which you don't think of New Orleans as somewhere that experiences fire. But during the summer of 2023, it was historically dry and places were catching, marshes were catching on fire. So just to give you guys a sense of like the types of things I like to share, not everything has a perfect photo. Like it's hard to document smog sometimes, but that's where I took the liberty to kind of write out more description, you know, how it made me feel, what was the smell. I documented like how much it impacted my daily activities and my time outside. So yeah, I'll jump back into the program scheduling, but I just wanted to show a few examples there.
Those were awesome. And I just wanted to pause for a second. I dropped in the chat the question, but has anyone here done a submission on IC Change before? We're going to do one together, so you'll be able to say yes after today. I just wanted to check in case anyone wanted to share an example. Okay. All right, cool. Well, you'll have examples after today, that's for sure. Okay, we'll come back to that. I'm glad we're catching a bunch of newbies. You're going to have a bunch of new submitters of observations.
Yeah. So some of the tips we like to give, because this information can live in so many different, it can have so many different use cases, and I'll show you a very like practical one where it's started to intersect with the engineers and the city spaces. But we do see that there are some like tips that really translate across topics. Whether you are reporting, things in your very natural environment or your very built environment. What I've already kind of named is just be as specific as you can. The more detail you can share in a photo or in your description, the better. This is going to basically serve as like you helping document, a piece of climate and weather history, in a sense, is kind of how we view it. So as always, detail is always better. Climate impacts aren't always obvious. So this is one that I've really taken with me, especially as working in IC change and living in New Orleans, where, you think of New Orleans as somewhere that's like in many ways like a frontline community to climate impacts, but it's not always playing out in the most dramatic, literal ways that you might expect. And a lot of times it's the wear and tear that our community sees to our infrastructure and our communities and our health. So things like extreme heat are sometimes harder to document because it's going to be a nuance. It's going to be, how are people making decisions about using public transit to get to and from somewhere? Or are your storm drains, falling apart because they're experiencing, so much water from more rain than expected? People who experience a lot of snow. I'm sure there's cognates to if you're getting these, massive storms every winter and the systems aren't set up to handle that, or your cars aren't set up to handle that, or people seeing different types of impacts. So looking, not just for the hurricane, but like the daily things that maybe are more nuanced, but that often reflect more actionable places for us to start as we think about solutions. The third one, share what you're passionate about. As you saw, I like to share, there's actually like 20 more posts of my dog, so I spared you that. But, whatever routine you have, whether you're someone who's mobile or not mobile, it can be different. We have people who share photos from looking outside their window, or as I did just in my own home with my thermostat, or people will, if you post your energy bill, just cover your name and address, but people will post their energy bill totals. Or if you're someone who is particularly, you're out in nature or you're out in your community a lot, think about the things that you care about and what you might observe and what you might feel comfortable to share. There's some really amazing photography that I cannot claim, but that I've seen other people share. And so be creative, share what inspires you to talk about. That's what we see translate to powerful storytelling and data. This last one's kind of fun and really can apply again across topics. You can adopt a spot. So this could be, the example I showed on the right is kind of, we call people who really get into it. We like to be like they're super users, or people who are just like, they always come back. And Amber's someone who tracks this particular beautiful mountain that must be within like view of her house. So I'm super jealous. And she will report it, basically monthly, all year round, from summer to winter, how often the snow melts or the snow forms, how she's noticing differences from year to year. You could do this with a storm drain or with trees that are, growing. People just planted trees, or with your garden, or with your energy bill. Back to that example, like you can, by showing something over time, you're already going to really start to track something meaningful. So those are kind of our starting points for good tips, and we can go to the next. Just one case study to kind of show how this translates into additional solutions, and how we work with other partners to help community data go further. So IC Change, a few of us are based in New Orleans. We do work, as we mentioned, the tool can be used globally. We work around the country. But we have partnered with the City of New Orleans and Stantec, who is an engineering firm, as they were approaching a very large green infrastructure, I guess green and gray infrastructure project. It was part of federal HUD funding. It is still happening, so we love to see that. And it was to help address extreme flooding across multiple neighborhoods in New Orleans. A lot of these neighborhoods were low income and have been historically marginalized and redlined, all the things. They were at a lot of these neighborhoods are at the bottom of the bowl in the sense of like New Orleans has a topographical bowl, so water pools there. And the city had slated all these large scale projects to help mitigate flooding. We were actually brought in to essentially crowdsource flooding experiences. When we provided residents with a new way to participate, one that's we found and that we stand behind is far more accessible than asking people to take time out of their day to drive to city council, pay for parking, walk into city council, wait multiple hours to maybe get a shot at speaking for 2 minutes versus taking a photo from their home, maybe multiple over time, and having that data be informative. We saw a big increase in public engagement. Residents documented 29 different flooding events over the course of while we were making those assessments. And we brought that data to the engineering firm who was able to basically right size the project and show that actually people had been documenting flooding outside of the footprint of what they had originally mapped as the flood zone, and that they needed to reassess the project, and they reallocated an additional $4.8 million to increase the stormwater capacity of the design. So this is like one of our, dreams is like, as we continue working with cities and counties and stormwater utilities and you name it, that this, that community data can play a stronger role in actually informing solutions. Because modeling and mapping is extremely important and it's like one piece of the puzzle, but we often find that they're not always representing equitable data, that they're not up to date, that there can be data gaps, you name it. And so we want community data to play a stronger role in helping us design climate ready solutions. And there might be one slide. I think that's the last slide. Yeah. I'll pause and also thank you guys, but down to answer questions or have a discussion.
I'm really glad you added the example on the previous slide about how it's been used to enact change. I'm particularly interested in that whole concept in general, but I hope for all of you on the line, there may not be like an active issue that you're trying to solve, but you know that this is a tool that can solve an issue if it occurs too. So we might not be able to do everything about heat, but there are like some cases where maybe just getting enough notifications and observations about heat would lead to the city putting canopies over bus stops, like simple things that might be able to change in the future, depending on where you want.
And I'll add to that really quick, Emma. I love where you were like going with that. We have had people use their own IC Change account as essentially like a base to do advocacy work or go into a council or whomever your audience might be. And if you are someone who is organizing in any way, like it's a really easy tool to say, hey, this is a free thing where you can document this over time. You can always reach out to me too if you have more questions about it or want to get ideas on how to do that. But it's a like formal ledger of like validated data that can be shown like, hey, like we actually do need a better bus stop here, or we do have a flooding issue here, even though you said we didn't. And actually 5 of my neighbors do too. So there can be some really cool kind of self-driven moments, and it's your story to tell. So sorry if I interrupted with that.
No, not at all. That was perfect. I'm glad that you did. I'm pointing the finger at all of you who are on the line with us. Does anyone have an idea of how they might use this in an event? It might be too soon too, I know processing happens, but can anyone think of a way in which this might be helpful for our program? Yeah, Imani, you want to unmute? Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to post a link in the chat, and I think a lot of people are starting to notice that some of the government websites, the data is being taken down because it does not jibe with the executive orders that are being
Yeah.
that are coming out. And I think now more than ever, it's important for local communities to preserve their own data.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually had a couple conversations somewhat internally with myself about like how we can talk about a lot of citizen science and participatory research type of topics as a way to give people an activity to do in the face of fear over that kind of a thing. If you're worried about data being removed or just we won't have access to it anymore, this is our way to kind of like sneak in the, well, we can collect data too. We're not scientists, but that's okay. Like that we can still be a part of it and actually give really valuable data. So that's a great point, Imani. I love that idea. Considering, Paul, I'm going to read that out loud. Considering applying this to a preserve owned by the land trust I work for, where there's been heavy impact by emerald ash borer. I don't know what that is. And changing water levels. Emerald ash borer. Do you want to unmute and say more? Putting you on the spot, sorry. If you can. I don't know if you can. No audio or camera? Oh, no worries. I mean, it's okay. You're feel free to interrupt if you figure it out, but that sounds like a great idea to monitor over time. I noted it in the chat earlier, but I really wanted to do the adopt a tree. I think at some point it was labeled adopt a tree briefly, or at least there was a note of like use the adopt a spot for here, adopt a tree, and look at time, the way it changes over seasons, or track when the seasons hit that tree. And I really loved that idea because it worked well with our Girl Scout program too. So if you have Girl Scouts in your area, they do the tree promise patch, which is a great way to induct that type of thinking of like, how is this different from the year before or 20 years before, et cetera, and how is this tree surviving? Oh, thank you, Paul. Emerald ash borer is an invasive insect that kills ash trees. Kind of took out many of the preserves trees. Oh, that's awful. Hopefully it can be tracked. So, ugh, not fun, but that's a good idea to have something happen. Oh, thank you to those of you who tried to tell me what that was. It kills trees. It's an invasive beetle. Got it. Okay. And then Dr. Mo, I'm already brainstorming how to add this to Sonora and Desert class, college class. Absolutely. I'll also look at it in terms of the other classes too. I'm not look at your syllabi. I will also use this for annual Citizen Science Month 1 line. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Caroline, we're gonna make sure IC Change has a day during the Citizen Science Month so we can be like, everyone post right now. What does the world look like? I think that would be a great use of one of the days. Sweet. I love these ideas. Keep them coming. If anything comes up, feel free to share. I feel like I should also post in the Facebook chat to just say like, hey, we talked about IC Change. Who's got an idea? And we can share them again. Or I can post this chat, honestly. That would be great too. Okay, I'm going to use this time to pause unless anyone has a question. Unmute, interrupt if you want, / anything else to say. I'm going to take this time to have us actually do the project, see how we do. If you're not in a situation where you can make an observation, that's okay. We can use mine as an example. Luckily, the weather here is weird in DC. Oh, sorry, I just kept you spotlit. I'm just going to stare at you, sorry. It's raining outside in DC, which was unexpected and quite gloomy. So if you have the ability to take a picture of a thermostat, take a picture of the outdoors, walk outside for a second, I'm going to give us like 2 minutes to just, yeah. Do you want to say
You can
something
also
about it?
pull old, if you have a photo on your phone of like a past storm or, something you saw, you can use a photo from your phone. And if you have your phone location services tied to your photos, it will tell you when and where you took that photo.
Right, the
If not,
metadata.
then you just have to remember, which is a little trickier.
Yeah. It is trickier, but
I can also, if it's helpful, but I don't want to distract. I could show on my screen like what posting looks like, but you tell me how it makes
we
sense.
will do that. I think now just literally take a picture, but we can absolutely do that. I was gonna attempt to share screen with my phone. It's worked before, but if you know exactly how to do it, we might default to you. But I'm gonna go ahead and take a picture outside. If anyone does not have the ability to do so, start looking through your list of pictures, I mean, or your photo, what is it called? Library? It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm gonna pause the recording just for a couple minutes while we do. Resuming. Okay. Can I get a show of hands of everyone who was able to get a picture? Or none. If you're just gonna leave me hanging, that's fine too. I feel like I'm in a classroom of students who just don't want to do the assignment. Oh, thank you. Thank you, you too. And thanks, Tara, also. Okay, so this is a picture I just took. I was possibly moving while I took the picture. I didn't realize it would come out so slanted. There's no sky. You can't see it. It's super blocked out by the lovely fog and rain. It's actively raining in this too. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to my Icy Change app. Icy Change. I have all my sightings that show up immediately. And so like my first one, this is exactly our month ago when we did our last meeting. There was a nice rainbow after the tornado. So in case you were curious, I did survive and wrote about it on Icy Change. Okay, so Caroline, coach me. I'm going to add my photo in. And your advice was just tell the narrative, right? What is your...
Yeah, I mean, you see those questions there. I typically start with what sparked me to take the photo, you know? So if you notice something, what you think it might mean. There are no wrong answers. I will say that.
All right, I'm gonna go with unexpected storm. It might be because I didn't check the weather today, but unexpected in general. Relief from the heat, but still very muggy outside. I don't know. I guess I was able to, it's not abnormal.
Were there any heavy rain or wind?
There was some, yeah, wind was short-lived. It was short-lived. And the rain was not very intense. I thought it was going to be more intense and it was not. All right. So do you or how much do you expect people to write? Because I've gone in between if I have a lot to say. Is it just...
So yeah, I mean, again, there's no wrong answers. So I'd say this is like right, like a very healthy right in the middle. Some people like really go for it and they write their story. And if you are in that mode, you go for it. Some people, it's like 3 words. So I think this is perfect.
Awesome. It was rain, I can imagine.
Yeah.
All right. This is where I live. Don't tell anyone. Moving on. All
So
right.
can you wait, pause there really quickly?
Yeah.
Sorry, or go back to that middle dot. Yeah. So I don't know if you had this in already and you practiced, but what it should hopefully do is grab that date and timestamp and that location from your photo. Some people don't have that setting turned on in the photo. It doesn't track it. But when it does, we grab that. You do have the option on that little map to move the blue pen. So if for any reason it's wrong, or maybe you were standing in a park and not on a street address, you can move the pen or retype the address. But yeah, we like to say that point just so you're aware.
Awesome. All right.
And it detected these topics from what you wrote. So we actually use our own, basically an AI model that we built in our house to detect different themes that you're talking about in your report to just help us further kind of categorize the things that you're seeing.
Awesome. Sweet. I don't think I would add anything else.
Yeah, so if you ever were measuring rain rates or, you know, had specific thermometer measurements or humidity measurements, that add topic specific details button is going to be exactly like where you can talk more about heat or more about flooding or whatever it might be.
All right. I do remember adding something in here in the past. When I lived in Arizona, I was often saying like it totally impacted my life. It's too hot outside.
Yeah, fair.
But I haven't added that very much since living here. So I will think more about that. How has air impacted the air being like air quality?
So that's if you were reporting it. I think because you were talking about skies, it flagged air quality, but yeah, there's lots of like yours was spanning multiple topics. If you just mentioned heat, you would only get a subset of these questions. It gives you the full list based on kind of what you've been tagged as.
Right. Is there a benefit to comparing it to your indoor temperature?
We do that when we are, the reason that we've added that input is because there are a number of places that the indoor temperatures are unsafe during the summer or the winter, but So that's to track like indoor urban heat exposure.
I do have humidity measured at 61% in here, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if I trust that, but maybe it's true. I do feel quite humid.
Inside your apartment, it's 61%.
Yeah, I've had the door open. It's raining, it was cooler, so I had the door open. It's probably just because
Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm not gonna add it.
I
It might-
couldn't survive.
My indoor we run a dehumidifier in my place here that never turns off, and it doesn't get below like 56%
Oh,
ever.
man.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's crazy. But
Really?
my skin loves it. So there's
Well, that's good.
That's true. It was like unseasonally, is that the word? Dry this past week. Like we've had very low humidity here that my lips started to chap.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, it's summer. Like usually I'm not used to that in the summer. But yeah, it was and partially because of Imani was saying to the wildfires too, dry up the air.
An interesting observation.
Okay, I'm going to stop my screen share for a second. I submitted.
Can I ask you one thing before you do?
Yeah.
Can you hit that? So where you see that weather drop down, I'm actually glad you flagged this. So if you'll jump back to, yeah, exactly. So we do flag when there are anomalies in how the weather data compares to historic data. And if you click that learn about the data button underlined, exactly, it'll show you how your temperature differs from like the average that historically we've seen that time of year. So this will happen whether it's under or over, and it basically flags if you're seeing like a significant difference.
Oh, today's low. I was thinking, I'm like, that seems like low for the day anyway, but that is fair. If the lowest that I'm going to see is 78 today versus 71 usually, that's
right. Like it's not cooling at night, which can be, an indicator of a lot of extreme heat.
Not good stuff. Okay, so we're past the 45 minutes.
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. That's on me. But I wanted to make sure that before you all left that you felt comfortable using the app. So hopefully that got you to that point. I do have extra slides that I'll send in the follow-up to everyone as well, because I just think that they're useful in general, because there's more than just icy change when we talk about heat and we talk about climate reporting in general. So, before we do that, I will send these out so you have like a good like basic like a one snapshot like flashcard basically for this project. And then we did want you to think about like the different elements of an event. So just keep those in mind as you're hearing about these new projects, as much or as little as you can in that moment. But there are other projects, so I just wanted to flag two for you. One being Kappa, which is a little bit more intensive. You have to like apply to be a part of their program, and then they do a very like organized and co-created version of developing a program. This is more about solutions oriented, so it takes where IC changes a lot of the documenting early on. This one is like there's already documentation and they're going to start, or well, that's not exactly true. They do documentation with you, but it's a really intensive short-term process depending on the situation. And then this is very timely, air quality. I noticed there were just some chat conversations happening. I just want to point out there is a program asking for applications to receive a free air quality monitor. It's a community air monitor is what they're calling it. And you should definitely apply so you can have it in your community and be a part of a big nationwide program for this. I think their deadlines are coming up though, so you might want to sign up soon. So I'll drop the link, or I'll make sure the link is in the follow-up after this too. Okay. Sorry for going over time. The last slide is just all the links for the upcoming things. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure we have those in the follow-up email. But in case you're super quick and want to add it or want to do anything about it now, here are all those links for you. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share because I want to hear from all of you and thank Caroline for lending us your time and having such knowledge for us. So I appreciate all your help. Yeah, this was really great. I'm glad we got to have this fuller conversation. Does anyone have questions for Caroline before we allow her to exit? And the rest of us. Mary Jones Parker, feeling good?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, finally. Afterwards, I was just hoping to talk to Kara since she's in my area. The next year, Philadelphia has the big 250th, and with like Franklin Institute, which I've done some programs with before. I don't know if she has contacts, but I thought we might collaborate.
Well, I worked at the Franklin Institute for many years, 8 years.
Oh, yeah. My
Yeah,
son-in-law
and
did too.
Who did your son-in-law?
Yeah, and then when I was a librarian, we had the partnership with GlaxoSmithKline and did science in the summer. I did that 2 years, so I just didn't know if we could do something for the 250 with them.
Well, come to the webinar on the 20th, which is going to be about America 250 Citizen Science Month and how we are trying to tie all that in together.
Come, is it virtual or
Virtual. Yes, virtual.
August 20th?
Yeah, well, Emma will put the link in the chat. But
Okay.
yes, we are actively thinking about that. Obviously, I'm in Philly. Darlene is in Philly. Darlene is one of the co-chairs of America Gives or America Innovates, which is one of the pillars of the America 250 thing. So yeah, we are doing a lot for A250, and we're kicking that off on August 20th with a webinar. But we're gonna be continuing to put out how to connect citizen science
Right.
with that.
Yeah. And
Great. I've been wanting to say that for 2 months.
Well, good. I'm glad you did.
I just dropped the link again in the chat for you. It's the August 20th, Citizen Science Month 2026.
Okay.
Or America 250. Yeah. Local lake algae problems. Ooh, that's interesting. I can't wait to see your posts. Is there a way for, Caroline, is there a way for us to, would we just have to search for specific people or locations to like creep on our ambassador friends?
Yeah, if you email me, we can also set you up with a better way to do it.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It would be like a community account that like we can figure that out with SciStarter.
Okay, I'm writing that down. I will reach out. That sounds great.
Just give me the next like 2 weeks of, we've got a lot of crazy stuff, but like September, October would be like a perfect time for us to.
Sure. The account. I see change. I will reach out in October. Or wait, sorry, the next 2 weeks? Or the 2
September,
weeks?
yeah, just like in a little past the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be able to get you. Would be better.
Gotcha. Awesome. Okay, I don't want to keep anyone any longer, so thank you all for joining for the extended. It's always longer than 45 minutes. I'm sorry. We just want to chat. But we will see you all next time. I'll send you guys the follow-up email tomorrow. And thank you so much, Caroline. I appreciate all the knowledge.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye all.
Bye.